You remember the scene. A young man is running down an alley in South Central Los Angeles. He has a football scholarship waiting for him, a future, a way out. He is carrying a bag of groceries from the corner store. His brother is behind him, and a car pulls up at the end of the alley. A man leans out the window. He does not hesitate. He does not say a word. He raises his arm, and Ricky Baker goes down in that alley, groceries scattering across the pavement, and every person who has ever seen Boyz n the Hood remembers exactly how that scene made them feel. That scene broke audiences in 1991. It broke them because it felt real. Because John Singleton, who was 23 years old and directing his first film, based Ricky on his own childhood friend. A kid he grew up with in South Central. A kid named Jimmy. And the alley was a real alley. And the neighborhood was the real neighborhood. And the body the kids find at the beginning of the film was shot 1 mile from the intersection where Rodney King would be beaten by police 1 year later. Everything about Boyz n the Hood was real. The streets, the danger, the fear, the helicopters at night. Singleton pulled it from his own life and put it on screen with an honesty that made him the youngest person ever nominated for the Best Director Oscar and the first black filmmaker to receive that nomination. But here's the thing about that scene in the alley that nobody talks about. The actor who played the man who takes Ricky. The man who leans out the window. The man with fewer than 10 lines of dialogue whose face became the most hated image in black cinema for an entire generation. His name is Lloyd Avery II. And what happened to him after the cameras stopped rolling is a story so dark, so impossible, so perfectly tragic that it makes the film he appeared in look like a fairy tale. Because Lloyd Avery II was not from the streets. He was a quiet kid from a middle-class neighborhood. His co-star, the actor who played the other man in the car, said he was meek. Not a street guy. Not even close. And after Boyz n the Hood, Lloyd Avery left his middle-class neighborhood, moved into blood territory, tattooed the name of his new block above his eyebrow, committed a real double-taking, found God in prison, and was ended by his own cellmate, a self-described Satanist who drew symbols on the floor with Lloyd's blood and placed his body in the center. The man who played the killer in Boyz n the Hood became one in real life. And then the real life became worse than anything John Singleton ever put on screen. This is that story. Start with who Lloyd Avery actually was. Before the film. Before the role. Before the transformation that his own brother could not explain. Lloyd Avery II grows up in Los Angeles. But not the Los Angeles that Boyz n the Hood depicts. He is from a working-class, middle-class neighborhood. His family is stable. His brother Che is also pursuing acting. The Avery household is not the Crenshaw that Singleton is writing about. It is the other side of the city. The side where children go to school and come home and do their homework and dream about careers in Hollywood. Lloyd wants to be an actor. And in 1991, at the age of 22, he gets a shot that most young actors in Los Angeles never get. John Singleton is casting Boyz n the Hood. And Singleton needs someone to play the man in the car, the man who takes Ricky in the alley. The character has no name in the script. The credits will list him as Knucklehead number 2, fewer than 10 lines. But the scene is the emotional climax of the entire film. Everything the movie builds toward, every relationship, every promise, every hope that Ricky might make it out, ends in that alley with that man in that car. Singleton casts Lloyd Avery. And here's the detail that makes everything that comes after so devastating. Singleton has to coach him. Lloyd does not know how to play this role naturally. He does not know how to project menace. He does not know how to hold himself like a man from the streets. Singleton personally shows him how to use his eyes, how to sit in the car, how to lean out the window, how to be still in a way that reads as dangerous. Malcolm Norrington, the actor who plays Knucklehead number 1, the other man in the car, remembers Lloyd during filming. He describes him with one word that will haunt this entire story. Meek. He was kind of meek. He was not anything near a street guy. That is who Lloyd Avery is in 1991. a meek kid from a middle-class neighborhood, being coached by a 23-year-old director on how to pretend to be something he is not. And then the film opens. Boyz n the Hood is a phenomenon. It makes over $57 million on a $6 million budget. It launches the careers of Cuba Gooding Jr., Ice Cube, Morris Chestnut, Nia Long, Angela Bassett, and Lawrence Fishburne into a new orbit. It makes John Singleton the youngest Oscar nominee for Best Director in history and the first black filmmaker to receive that nomination. He is 23 years old. He is younger than most graduate students. And he has made a film that will change American cinema permanently. The film hits the black community like a freight train. Because unlike every other Hollywood movie about South Central, this one is not made by an outsider looking in. This one is made by a man who grew up on those streets, who buried friends on those streets, who watched the crack epidemic tear through those blocks in real time. Singleton told the BBC the picture is really just a reflection of his experiences. He told interviewers that he and his two friends, the real Doughboy and the real Ricky, experienced things together that most people never see. He said the neighborhood changed around them as cheap product flooded in and the violence escalated. He said danger is sexy when you are young. And the scene that hits hardest, the scene that every person who has ever seen the film remembers more than any other, is the scene in the alley. Ricky running, the groceries falling, the car pulling up, and Lloyd Avery leaning out the window, doing exactly what Singleton taught him to do. That scene makes Lloyd Avery the most recognizable face of violence in black cinema. Not Cuba Gooding, not Ice Cube, not Morris Chestnut, the man with fewer than 10 lines, the man whose character does not even have a name. That is the face audiences remember. That is the image that stays, and the image begins to consume the person underneath it. People on the street recognize Lloyd Avery. They do not recognize him as an actor. They recognize him as a killer. They assume the man they saw in the alley is the man standing in front of them. They treat him like a real figure from the streets. And Lloyd, the meek kid from the middle-class neighborhood, starts to feel the pull of that assumption. His brother Che would later describe it as a seduction, the streets offering Lloyd something Hollywood could not. Respect. Not the kind of respect an actor gets at an audition. The kind of respect that comes from fear. The kind that comes from people crossing to the other side when they see you. The kind that a 10-line role in a John Singleton film accidentally gave him. Within a year of Boyz n the Hood, Lloyd Avery does something that nobody in his life can explain. He leaves his middle-class neighborhood. He moves to a place called the Jungle. The Jungle is a stretch of blocks between La Brea Avenue, Crenshaw Boulevard, Santo Tomas Drive, and Coliseum Street. It is heavily blood-affiliated territory. It is one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Los Angeles. A kid from a stable home. A kid his co-star described as meek. A kid who had to be coached on how to look dangerous. That kid moves into blood territory and begins living the role he played on screen. He tattoos the word Jungles above his left eyebrow. He starts missing auditions. The acting career that Boyz n the Hood was supposed to launch is collapsing because Lloyd is no longer showing up. He is not in casting offices. He is not reading scripts. He is on the block, in the jungle, becoming the thing that Singleton had to teach him how to fake. His brother Che watches it happen. And Che gives it a name that tells you everything, the Tupac syndrome. He felt like he had something to prove when he really did not. Even if you have money and fame, you will sacrifice all of that just to have respect from a bunch of people who do not care about you. The Tupac syndrome. The need to prove that the character is real, that the performance is not a performance, that the meek kid from the middle-class neighborhood is not meek, that the 10 lines in the alley were not acting, that he belongs in the world the movie depicted, even though that world was never his. Lloyd Avery leans into the role until the role becomes his life. And on July the 1st, 1999, 8 years after Boyz n the Hood, the line between fiction and reality disappears completely. Lloyd Avery is involved in an incident. 2 people, Annette Lewis and Percy Branch, are taken. The circumstances involve an attempt to collect a debt. The details are documented through police records and court filings. Lloyd Avery is charged. He does not contest the charges. He is convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Life. The meek kid from the middle-class neighborhood. The actor with 10 lines. The man who had to be taught how to look dangerous. Sentenced to spend the rest of his natural life behind walls. He is sent to Pelican Bay State Prison, one of the most notorious facilities in the California system, a place designed for the most dangerous inmates in the state. And Lloyd Avery, who was not anything near a street guy in 1991, is now classified as exactly that. And inside Pelican Bay, something happens that is either the beginning of redemption or the beginning of the end. Depending on how you read it, it is both. Lloyd Avery finds God. He becomes devoutly Christian. He studies Scripture. He prays. He begins to build an identity that has nothing to do with the jungle, nothing to do with the blood affiliation, nothing to do with the role that consumed him. The inmates at Pelican Bay give him a nickname, Baby Jesus. The man who played a killer on screen. The man who became a killer in real life. The man who is serving life for a double taking. That man is now known inside one of the most violent prisons in America as Baby Jesus. And then the system gives him a new cellmate. His name is Kevin Roby. And Kevin Roby is serving life without parole for what he did to his own family. He took his own sister. He is convicted of additional charges so severe that the court decided he would never see the outside again. And Kevin Roby is a self-described Satanist. Baby, Jesus, and a Satanist. In the same cell, in Pelican Bay. Lloyd tries to convert him. Day after day. Scripture, prayer, conversation. The man who found God in prison believes he can save the man in the bunk across from him. He pushes, he preaches, he does not stop. On September the 4th, 2005, the argument reaches its end. Kevin Roby ends Lloyd Avery in their cell. The cause, according to the autopsy, is blunt force and compression. Lloyd Avery is 36 years old. What happens after is something that no script, no film, no writer in Hollywood would dare put on screen because no audience would believe it. Roby covers Lloyd's body with a blanket. For 2 days, Lloyd lies in the cell. Guards do not notice. The cell is quiet. Nothing appears wrong. On September the 6th, Roby removes the blanket. He draws symbols on the cell floor. He uses Lloyd's own blood. He places Lloyd's body in the center. That is how the guards find him. Baby Jesus. In the center of symbols drawn in his own blood. By a Satanist who could not be converted. No charges are filed against Roby. He is already serving life without parole. There is nothing the system can add to a sentence that already means forever. 20 years later, in 2020, Roby speaks on a podcast called Criminal Perspective. He describes the argument. He says Lloyd was pushing his agenda to convert him to Christianity. He says it led to a fight. He describes what he did after with a calmness that makes the recording almost impossible to listen to. So what do you take from the life of Lloyd Avery II? Take the chain. A 22-year-old kid from a middle-class neighborhood gets cast in a film. He plays a killer. The role has 10 lines. The film becomes one of the most important movies in American history. And the role, those 10 lines, that one scene in the alley, rewrites the kid's entire identity. He leaves his home. He moves to blood territory. He tattoos his new block above his eye. He stops auditioning. He starts living the character. He commits a real double taking. He goes to prison for life. He finds God. They call him Baby Jesus. His cellmate is a Satanist. The Satanist ends him and draws symbols with his blood. Fiction became reality. Reality became something worse than any fiction. John Singleton wrote Boyz and the Hood as a warning. He based it on his own life, his own friends, his own streets. The film says at the end, "Increase the peace." It is a plea, a prayer, a hope that showing the truth would change the truth. But the truth did not change for Lloyd Avery. The film that was supposed to be a warning became an instruction manual. The role that was supposed to be a performance became a lifestyle. And the meek kid from the middle-class neighborhood who had to be taught how to look dangerous was found on the floor of a prison cell with symbols drawn in his blood at the age of 36. His co-star said he was meek. The credits listed him as Knucklehead number 2. And the alley where Ricky goes down is still there, on the south side of Los Angeles. You can stand in it. You can see where Morris Chestnut fell. You can see where the groceries scattered. And if you stand there long enough, you can almost see a 22-year-old kid leaning out of a car window, playing a role he does not yet know will become his entire life. 10 lines. That is all it took.